And welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. This is Entertainment Thursday, and the segment on air is Future Voices, where we give the young people of this country a chance to contribute to matters that drive the national discourse. And today I want us to focus on a topic that is very important, because we are living in a time when there's a lot of political happenings within the country, and also so we need to look at how things are happening. And one of the things that is very notable is the rise of Goonism, political rallies being disrupted left, right, and center. That is the trajectory that I want us to take this morning. And for that, I have a very able panel of persons who will give insights as to what is happening in as far as that topic is concerned. On my far right, I am joined by George Gishuke, who is a politician and governance expert. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
And also Wakili Jacob Odhiambo is a lawyer and a political strategist. Welcome.
Good morning, Kenya, and thank you, Mike.
Karibu sana. And also we have Emmanuel Magoba, who is a political scientist.
Thank you, Mike, for having me here today.
Karibu sana. And last but not least, Agogo Mkare from the ODM Youth League.
Thank you so much, Mike, and it's a pleasure being here.
Thank you for making time. Let's get into it, gentlemen. And we've seen several instances of meetings, political meetings, being disrupted by what has been described as goons. I don't know, I want to just first get what you think about the situation. Why are we witnessing this? And I'll start with you, George.
Thank you so much, Bona Mike. We are really living in hard times, and whatever we are experiencing as a country, this is something that has been there for quite some time. And maybe the history can tell us this is something that even began the year 1998 to 2007. We had such groups like the Jeshi Ramze, such groups which later on came to, they matured, and later at that particular hour, during those years, they were in, let's say, in village-based. But in 2007, between 2000 and 2008, we had regional ethnic militia groups. And later on, between 2010 and 2022, we had such groups. But in this case, they were urban. They were found in urban centers. And later, maybe from 2022 to modern daytime, we are having what we are now calling the goons for hire. And I can say we've seen this because, leaders, leaders' manipulation. This is something that leaders have all along been using to intimidate their opponents. And again, we are seeing this being because we have quite a very good number of young people who do not have opportunities, and so the whole thing, they are vulnerable to be used by politicians and sponsors for that case.
It's politicians capitalizing on what you say is the misfortune of lack of jobs to drive this goonism?
Yes, lack of jobs, and again, reluctances of institutions. Because in Kenya, we are governed by law and a constitution. And
yes.
We have institutions like judiciary.
Yes.
And at times, we've seen the culprits and the mobilizers and sponsors. They are not held accountable for their actions.
Yeah.
So it is like there's a vacuum somewhere.
There's a vacuum somewhere.
Yes.
We'll come back to that. Wakili, what do you think? Are we witnessing an emergence of a new political, what you say is some form of, quote-unquote, a new political violence? Or is it simply a modern version of tactics that has lived with us for decades, as George is putting it?
Mike, I don't think there's something new. I think that this is something that has been inculcated for quite a number of years now by the political class. And the only solution to it is the political leadership coming to terms with the mess that they've created and deciding to stop it. Because we know that the issue of youth unemployment sometimes, pushes the young people into trying to find an extra ways of survival. And that is why they become readily available for hire by the political class. So I think it is a culture that has been brought into place by the political class, and they really need to come to their senses and find a solution to it, because they created it.
Yeah, coming to their senses. But then again, Magobo, when you look at it, why let yourself be used to disrupt someone's meeting just because you differ on ideologies or who you support in so far as politics is concerned?
Thank you very much, Mike. I think that is what a created society leads to. That is simply a created society. Whatever we are experiencing today, it's not just something that started yesterday. This is something that we've been building into. Yeah. And you find most of these people, they are either, when you look at their education, is not that well advanced. When you look at the employment, probably they are not employed. And there is this quote that PLO Lumumba loves to use the most, that anger is a very bad thing. An angry man is a very useless man, because this anger leads him to be so immoral, and he or she can do anything. And I feel like politicians have learned, or rather the ruling class has learned, to utilize this state so well. And the reason as why I believe this is something that we've been building onto, you realize, as he said, in the 1990s, 80s, we've been seeing this, only that to an extent we had a structured kind of organization, But what you are seeing today is completely getting out of hands. And it is good that we note Goonism. It is not just a criminal issue. This is a political issue. This is a political issue, because you find after these people have gone to disrupt the meetings and everything, at the end of the day, someone is paying them. So in order to even kill this, we need to get to whoever is paying them. Because I believe not just any young people go out there to streets, do all those distractions, and then go home empty-handed. And that's why you see even some being killed, or some having issues with whoever has hired them, because now when it comes to the payment and all the stuff,
a deal has to be honored. Agogo, what do you think? What are we witnessing right now?
Well, Megwi, personally, look at it from a different angle, or maybe perspective. I think our conversation this morning should not, merely revolve around, condemning Goonism. Yes. But we should, look at it from, why Goonism, because political Goonism mostly, targets the young people, their youths. So we should ask ourselves, because we are merely all youths in this panel. So we should ask ourselves, why the young people? Why are they, the most targeted, group? I personally don't believe in the politics of Goonism, because our politics is built on democracy and constitutionalism, and building institutions. Goons, having goons, or maybe merely talking about having people fighting, and that is not what even our forefathers really fought for. I can say that I'm privileged to have worked with Dr. Buro Ginga, one person who believes in strengthening systems and ensuring that issues, politics of ideology, our politics should be based on ideologies, issue driven, where people discuss policies and not fighting and exchange. Because this is something that you cannot point on a specific political side, because maybe you are in a specific political party, or maybe you are aligned to a political leader. But it's something that all leaders should be brought on, on board, all political leaders per se, because they are all involved in this. So if we can start looking politics from the politics of ideology, strengthening institutions that can create opportunities to the young people, as Dr. Buro Ginga, keeps on calling Tunataka Power. The Tunataka Power message is not about taking the political power, but creating, institutions that can empower the young people and that can create opportunities, economical, opportunities for the young people of this nation, so that they can be, empowered. Just as my colleague have said, that most young people who are not employed, or maybe lack of education, can lead to that because someone takes advantage over it. So the conversation, I think, should look at it from why the young people, and why are the political class finding it easy to call these young people, or rather to misuse the young people into political goonism to fight each other.
Yeah, you said that you put it very well. And George, like he has said, let's say two opposing sides accuse each other of using goons to disrupt respective meetings. How does the public now separate fact from political propaganda? How is that possible?
Well, Mike, I believe if we look at the pros and cons of the whole thing,
yes,
and if we fail to communicate this message to our generation, a generation might come and it might not have even an idea of what happened previously. And in my own view, if we trace the chronological of the occurrences of these groups and the impacts it has had on our society, these are some of the things we have seen. We can say damage to our community, to our country, lovely country,
yes,
through the loss of lives, loss of properties, and now the public should come outright and should condemn. As one of my colleagues here says,
yes,
they are engineers, they are mobilizers, somewhere seated comfortably, the financiers of such activities.
yeah,
And unless there is law enforcement that is put in place, we shall continue seeing we shall continue witnessing this damage that is caused to our young fellows. So the members of public should come outright to condemn the...
and even as they condemn that wakili, where do you see the gap? Is it lack of enforcement or just lack of goodwill to enforce the law?
It is a mix of a compromise situation, both from the law enforcement officers, political class, and because for the youth, they are desperate, and they also want to live, to earn a living. The police officers sometimes are very compromised in certain aspects by the political class. So for us to completely deal with the Goonism culture that is really threatening the future of this country, then we have to stand our feet, and both the law enforcement officers and the political class needs to do the right thing. Yeah.
And the fact that the Constitution gives the citizen a right to picket peaceably, to picket. But then again, there has to be a distinction between protests and also opportunistic criminals and organized gangs. How do we do that? Because we've seen peaceful protest degenerating into something else.
Number one, it all starts by the law enforcing agencies. Law enforcing agencies, because I'll give you an example of an organized movement that has been turned into a bit violent, even though not that violent. In the recent past, we've seen the nurses union, the union of nurses. I think they were discussing about internship or so, and they were moving around town, and once in a while you'll see a tear gas thrown in the middle of the group. They are very harmless. Of course, doctors are a bit harmless, unless with a syringe. So they are very harmless, only with their phones and stuff. So when police come in, the police force, and start tear gassing such like peaceful movements, it then turns into something else, because they will retaliate. They will also fight back. But I wanted to bring something to attention, that this culture of Goonism is taking us to a very, very poor society. And I want to share with the nation that imaginary state by Thomas Hobbes, the state of nature, whereby it's characterized by three things: that life was cruel, short, and brutal. And that is what we are seeing with this Goonism thing. I'll give you an example of whatever happened at All Saints Cathedral. You are coming from maybe Upper Hill or somewhere around there, maybe in your meeting, and then on that road you meet these goons moving from now the church to wherever they came from, and they meet you on that road, snatch off your phone, snatch your assets, or even finish your life. And then you find there is no much different from what was happening in that imaginary state of Thomas Hobbes, whereby life could end any time. And it is even bad that we are now getting to Charles Darwin's idea, the strongest should survive. It is like those with the strongest goons will always survive, beating those who do not have goons. And I want to correct my brother, not all politicians believe in these gooniship things. I mean, we have some very, very good leaders around. So it is only those few crooked individuals who are still entertaining this behavior. And I feel like as a society, we really, really need to stand up against this, because at the end of the day, we do not want to get Kenya to a Haiti state. We do not want to get Kenya to a state whereby life is so unpredictable. You do not know when you will die. Because everyone, I mean, it's Charles Darwin. If I'm stronger than you, then I mean you have to say yes to whatever I want you to do.
Survival for the fittest.
Yeah, I don't think we need to get to that level as a country, and especially as a strategic nation in East African region.
Agogo, what do you think? Have we reached a point where political violence has become an accepted language of politics?
Well, Migwi, I think, you know, when Magoba, let me just respond to Magoba.
Yes.
When he says that not all political parties, maybe not all political leaders, you know, are prescribed to the political of goonship, is not accepting the political reality. And that is what I mentioned earlier, that when we come here start, you know, pointing fingers to political, you know, figures, maybe political parties or individuals, then we are misleading the nation, because nearly everyone, close to a million viewers are following to, this, you know, conversation. So those are kind of conversations that we are trying to, you know, to limit, to come here and do what, offer solutions that can help the nation. Yeah. So politics of goonship, as my colleague here puts it when he started, this is something that, you know, it is not new to, you know, to some of us. Yeah, and it is not something that we are born today in Kenya and realize that we are in a political mess or maybe political chaos or maybe goonship. But then we are like, what are the what are some of the reasons that could lead to this? Because number one, if you follow our politics keenly, you will realize that Magoba himself said it, that due to unemployment, those are some of the issues. Those are some of the key fundamental issues that has led to some of these political gaps, political goonship. Because you realize that who are the primary targets when it comes to political goonship or maybe violence? Are the young people? Are the youths? Why? Is it because they lack jobs? Is it because they are not educated? You cannot start pointing fingers to individual people because maybe you feel like you are in a political side or maybe political leader. That would be misleading.
You see, my brother,
yeah?
I feel like my brother's point of view is of pointing fingers because as far as we are all concerned, we need to correct these things. As far as we are all concerned,
let him execute his point.
Let me finish, because when he was speaking, I had given him time. So Migwi, if we view politics from that angle, then we'll be misleading the public. We should come here and ask ourselves those fundamental questions, so that if someone is following the conversation, they can realize that these are some of the conversations. Maybe these are the policies area that need to be reviewed, so that we can have a nation that is safe for all of us. But not pointing fingers.
Just a second. I feel my brother comes from a point of view, or rather from a space where people are based in naming names and pointing fingers. Because as far as we are all concerned, and the viewers can bear you witness, no one has mentioned anyone or pointed any finger towards any direction. And I think that needed to be corrected. It seems you are so prepared to attack something specific.
But then again, what do you think, George? Is it a question of unemployment, in as far as it would be unemployment, yes. But is it also a question of morals, especially amongst the young people?
Well, let me just, before we even come to morals, as my colleague here says, the targeted groups is the young people. But me, I would rather look at, now, are there people who are sleeping on their jobs? Before we even come and start pointing fingers at the young people, because before we even point fingers and say maybe the morals of the young people, because I believe a government or anybody holding a public office, he should be there to serve the interest of the people and the public. And before we even accuse young people of having decayed morals, and are we seeing enough from our government? Have they created enough opportunities for our young people? Have we seen institutions like judiciary holding the leaders, because we have leaders who normally mobilize and pay these goons? Have we seen them held accountable? I remember the other incident that occurred here at a restaurant, in a restaurant, at around 8 p.m. We are seeing men of integrity, men and women of integrity, gangsters storming a restaurant at 8 p.m., robbing, terrorizing. Has there been, are we seeing the security? Are we seeing those who are in public offices condemning and criticizing the whole thing before we even condemn the moralities of our young people? And from that time of around just allow me to name the Kibaki government. The one and only Bwana Michuki. We know what he used to do. He tried at some point to deal with the group that was in existence at the moment. And later on, we've seen a group like those urban gangsters, like the one that was in Nakuru, the interior CS from the former government, confirmed that group was called Confirm. We saw him dealing with the group, and so are we seeing enough from the people we have put into the public offices? Are we seeing enough before we even criticize the young people?
What you're saying ties to the question that comes to mind, actually. Because Wakili, violence does not organize itself. It's something that has to be organized by people. And if Goonism is in existence, there are people who finance that. But then again, when you look at investigations, really, do we see those who finance those goons being brought to book, but they first deal with the perpetrators of the goonism that we are talking about? Why is it the case?
I think that as a country, we have always not had, good leadership or decisive leadership, to say, because when certain things are wrong and they are perpetrated by people who appears to be on the side of government, then many a times they get away with such actions, because whenever the investigative authorities start to follow up or to investigate, then along the way you find that they are compromised. A case scenario is what happened to Cecil Ouma the other day. I can assure you that there's no justice that is going to be served to the family because PS was involved. And the PS, people are going to elections in 2027, and people in government they're busy, they want to win the re-elections, and they are not concerned about people who are losing their lives carelessly because of, actions that are done by police officers or government or officials. Because I can tell you, if you look at the clip that the lawyers to the PS were saying, that, that boy forced himself into the vehicle, and, the bodyguard was trying to defend himself. You see, nobody is allowed to kill, even if you defending yourself, right? And I think there was a better way of dealing with that situation. But if you see lawyers trying to justify the killing, then that tells you that there's a problem in this country. One thing I will tell you is that the day we will get good leadership from the top, then so many things will be right. So many things will be made right. Look at the other time. I saw when Linda Mwananchi wanted to have a function in Kisumu.
Allow me to cut you short. We go for a short break. We come back. Then we continue on that point.
It's fine.
Yes. We are taking a short break. Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. This is a Future Voices, and we are talking about the rising culture of Goonism. Wakili, you are executing.
Yeah, I was saying, like the other time when Linda Mwananchi, for example, wanted to have a function in a meeting in Kisumu, and then there are some leaders who came out publicly and said, you know, we are not going to allow any meeting in Kisumu and we are going to deal with you perpendicular. And we saw a lot of violence when the group went to Kisumu. And nobody was held accountable. I think there's even a Boda guy who lost his life in somewhere in Western, one of those functions. That tells you the level of compromise. You look at the other day when the Linda Mwananchi team were along Kisii, Kiembu route. You can see how they were attacked. And the police officers were just there around and they did nothing. Nobody has been arrested up to now. Vehicles were vandalized, including for the former Chief Justice Emeritus. I want to say it here, Mike, that if we don't rethink as a country and make things right, then we are going to have a very bad country for the future generation. Leadership sometimes requires those who are in authority to do things the right way, however unpopular they may seem to be. Our police officers or law enforcement officers also need retraining. Sometimes when you look at how the police officers handle issues, you wonder, are these people really trained? So there's need of a serious resetting of some institution in this country for us to move in the right direction. I was telling somebody, I was giving an example the other day that when you go to the Western world, a police officer can meet you, Mike, even 100 times without uncuffing you, yet he is investigating you. The day the police officers will come to arrest you, then you can be sure
they have evidence.
That they have evidence, their investigation is complete, and when you are charged, you will not get out of that of that case without. They don't just in Kenya or in East Africa, but Kenya specifically, a rumor comes out and the police rush to arrest you. So even if they were and then they move you to court because the law requires that you should be presented before a court of law within 24 hours. They present you before a magistrate and then they request for 14 days, more days to investigate. You ask yourself, why did these people not investigate before they arrest you? Why do they run to or rush to arrest you, present you before a magistrate, and then ask magistrate that we need 14 more days to investigate? You are investigating what? Because this person is now aware that you are looking, you are after him. If there were any evidence that you would find, they will hide the evidence. So I think even our police, the law enforcement officers requires fresh and proper training so that even because you remember that we've always had an issue with the corruption. We cannot win the war on corruption if the investigating departments are not trained properly. Because the moment somebody has misappropriated public funds, and he's aware that he's being investigated, then he's going to try and play games and try to find a way of getting away with the crime. So if we cannot reset this country, the issue of Goonism will continue, other issues will continue, then we are going to have a worse country than the one we have today.
Okay.
And that is a worrying trend.
Okay, and Magoba, based on what Wakili has said, are we ready to have a conversation on the environments that create this culture? Are we ready to have that conversation, really?
We of course having it, but just as I pick it up from there, Mike, when politics rewards violence, then the society has to pay the price. And that's why you see people are being affected. A good example is now Keumbu. Even as we have these conversations, I think it will take time before we get to what we need as a society. Because just as he says, we know someone very well participated in destruction of a peaceful movement or other peaceful meeting in the name of Goon, and this person goes scot-free, or he's probably appointed in a position somewhere around the nation. And so you find that when we keep on rewarding these goons more than we reward our sharp people with ideas, then the society continues to pay the price. Look at what is happening in our churches. The other day, I think it was somewhere in Central, people are in the church and they are being tear-gassed. You know, a number of people, well, it's culturally, a number of people who go very early to these churches, maybe older women, they have to go mapema so that they don't miss any word from the preacher. And then you find if this lady, maybe in his 60s, 70s, is being tear-gassed for a problem caused by a young man, that is so disgraceful in a community like Kenya. And I strongly feel like leadership should not be about the number or rather the multitude one can mobilize, but leadership should be about the number of people a leader can inspire without fear. Aristotle tells us that man is a political animal. And so man need to coexist in a society, come up with ideas that help to build a society, not idea whereby we are always in instance violence, or rather where we are always fighting. So I feel like we need to have this conversation and we need to strongly condemn this as a nation.
And Gogo, you know, there's a youth question. What does it mean, or what does it bring out if we are able to, what does it say about a society where young people can easily be mobilized for violence rather than employment?
Well, Mike, I think before responding to that, based on what my colleague George.
Yes.
Yeah, he was mentioning something on Westland, the Westland attack. You know, I think it is also, you know, prudent to just to, you know, differentiate between political goonship and, you know, thuggery, or maybe thieves per se.
Yeah.
What we witnessed in Westland, that was not, you know, that was not goonship. Yeah, and you know,
that was robbery.
That was robbery. And also based on what Magoba was saying, Magoba was saying that there was some attack. You find, you know, people maybe being chased and phones are being snatched, taken away. I also believe that you know, that is a thin line. There is a thin line between now, you know, thuggery, or maybe, you know, just people snatching a phone is not, you know, goonship. That is theft, so to say. And that is why law enforcement, as Wakili Jacob was saying, that the police officers, and our constitution is very right, is very clear on this, that as we picket and we find maybe goons or maybe, you know, youths who riots during this, you know, demonstration, the police needs to be so keen to ensure that they protect the peaceful, you know, picketers or maybe leaders who demonstrate during, you know, such processes, so that we can know who the goons are and who the robbers are. So now when I come to your question, Mike, youths become vulnerable because of many, you know, factors or reasons. You find that most of us young people, we are easy to manipulate. You find that for a leader will come maybe with a token, just a token of appreciation, and he'll be like, now if there is an opponent, a political maybe rally, maybe a function, and you know, a leader feels like this political function should not be successful, and then they'll go out there and hire you know, goons or maybe, you know, youths. Then from there, it turns out to be violent. So through that, if you can build our institutions, if you can ensure that we have a country where leadership, as Jacob puts it, and this is something that does not single-handedly narrow down to the to a specific or maybe one leader. It should be a collective responsibility, because at the end of the day, we only have one country, we only have one nation. So when you start pointing fingers to an individual, and then now, at the end of the day, you also have a role to play as a citizen of a nation. You cannot just sit down and start pointing fingers. Someone would ask, what have you done as an individual at that capacity where you are to ensure that things works well? So as we try to point fingers to our leaders, we should also ensure that we become responsible citizens that we are, and also ensure that all these institutions that are mandated to protect us also play their role.
Yeah. George, if this has to end, because we're heading into 2027. 2027 is our election year, and we shall have intensified campaigns. If this continues, what does that mean for 2027?
Well, Mike, many have said we might have a banana republic. Those are their sentiments. But before we even get to that point, let us hold every public servant accountable. If a member of parliament is said to have paid goons, or is probably there, he's said to have some groups funding or financing some groups. Before we even get to that point of destroying our country, why don't the institutions such as judiciary hold that person accountable? We have Chapter 6 of our Constitution, and I'm not sure if we normally mean what Chapter 6 of our Constitution says, because a member who is found to fund such activities such as Goonism, in my own opinion, he should be banned from maybe holding a public office before we get into 2027. And that probably can be used as one of the mitigations to prevent most of the leaders, because I know their plans. The leaders are grouping, they are planning on how to use the same to, goons are used to intimidate their opponents. And for sure, as we head to 2027, I think the government and other institutions, they need to up their game. We need to see a very active judicial system in place. We need to see, because all along, my friend here says, we have seen so many things happening in social media. We are seeing, perpetrators go scot-free without being held accountable. So can we see one case that is in court, and it will serve as an example to the rest of the
ili iwe funzo kwa wengine wako na tabia kama hiyo. Wakil, what do you think? Because 2027 is around the corner, and we need to have a country where we have political tolerance, regardless of the factions or political factions that we support. How do we cultivate that tolerance and make sure that we deal with this problem once and for all?
See, Mike, the situation is very complex because we also have moral decay amongst the young people. Today, a number of youths have they have no morals, they stand for no values. I think parenting has also failed in a way, since the corporal punishment was removed from schools. During our times, we were a little bit, you know, we were seriously punished. We faced corporal punishment from our teachers. Today, you see young students, pupils doing very strange things in schools, and they go scot-free. I think our parents, the society also needs to take responsibility. As much as also we want to talk to our leaders, or we want our leaders to take responsibility, the society also needs to take responsibility, because if we also don't act from the society perspective, then it's going to be difficult for even the government and the leaders to act, because some of these people from the society also become leaders, get elected. And when somebody with no morals and values is elected into office, it means you understand what that means. So I think our youth also have a problem, a very serious problem, that I think they need some guidance, some civic education, because the other day, look at the mandamano that happened recently. I saw some youths, you know, dig the road. I didn't understand why, because, so we need to have civic education also to tell our people that this right in the Constitution that allows you to picket does not also allows you to destroy public properties. So when you are pocketing and you have the right to picket, and then you extend that right to damage public property, then you're already outside the right to picket. And therefore, that means that the law should now take its course. If we are going to build a nation, if we want to build Kenya, we need to act responsibly. Both the government, both the law enforcement officer, and the people who are, the young people. You cannot tell me that you have a problem with a finance bill, for example, and then you go and destroy parliament. What does parliament have to do with the finance bill? Because by the time you destroy parliament, then it means you're giving this country, you're giving taxpayers another burden of, again, budgeting for a new parliament. Because at the end of the day, parliament must exist. And the government, the leaders in place must rebuild that parliament. So sometimes when we want to build or to contribute into building a nation, let us all be responsible. Let us all be reasonable, including the young people. But again, I will also ask our parents and viewers and everybody else, and the young people, let us try to build a country called Kenya. And by building a country called Kenya, we have to all, you know, carry some burden of responsibility. We must all be responsible. Yes, you have a right. Yes, you are looking for a way to survive. But does your way to survive infringe on another person's right? You've been hired by a politician to go and cause chaos, right? Remember, those who are attending that other opponent's rally also have a right to assemble. They have a right to associate with, you know, participate in political activities. So when you've been hired to go and, you know, disperse people who are gathering to listen to a different political ideology, it means that you're now, where your rights ends is where the other person's rights begins. So the moment we understand that, then we are going to have a very good society. Let us not think that it must be me. Mike might be saying something that I don't agree with, but he has a right to say. The late former Prime Minister used to tell us that, yes, I don't agree with what you are saying, but I will defend your right to say it. So we must also understand these facts. As much as I don't agree with my friend here, he has a right, and as a Kenyan, I have that you know, responsibility to defend his right to say what he has to say. I have that responsibility to defend him, to pursue. If he is leaning to a different political ideology, I have the right to, you know, to respect his political ideology.
Yeah.
The person who will now make a difference is now the voter. And if we can reason that way, then we are going to have a very peaceful campaigns.
Yeah.
Because by the end of the day, let every other aspirant sell his policies, then let the voter decide. And then let us build a new Kenya.
And I'm going to throw this question to both of you as we come to a close of this discussion. What reforms need to happen as we approach the next election cycle? Briefly.
Towards the 2022 elections, I hope we are all aware to the formations that we had by then and individuals who are supporting which group and which group. My Western kingpin, Papa Francis Atwoli, was on one of the media stations, and he mentioned something. Yeah, Atwoli is a very great man, and he mentioned something. In whose hands are we safe? In whose hands are we safe? At the risk of paraphrasing that, today I'll want to ask, in which institution are Kenyans safe? Which institutions are we safe? Because we have number of institutions and we keep coming up with new institutions. But then what are all the institutions helping us? My brother mentioned something. A member of parliament there is evidence all over that he has supported a specific group of people to disrupt meetings. A member of parliament is splashing out money anyhowly, which is against the constitution. Such a member of parliament, through the IEBC, should not be allowed to be on the ballot, because this is evidently clear. We can all see. I mean, every sane person can see that indeed this person has done this, this, and this, and this. But then it goes to court, it gets postponed until this member is on ballot, and once he's voted in again, he continues to accumulate that political muscles. And that is the danger we continue creating to our society. And also another thing that we really need to look and work on is then people who call themselves political advisors, or these individuals who are always hanging on the coats of these leaders, telling them this is the direction to go, this is the direction to go. I come from a border county, and in this county, even the other day the president mentioned it, there is a group called Jobless. My friend, you cannot, until recently when the current governor is trying to fight them, and you see being on border, you fight them, they are not there during the day, they've crossed to Uganda. In the midnight, you hear they are around. And for them to continue maligning the lives of people, it means they are either being protected by someone, or maybe the security agencies in that region have failed. So number one thing is that our security agencies really need to be patriots. They really need to be patriots. Instead of disturbing small matters around us, they should be handling such big issues. Because by killing the issue of thuggery and goonship in this country, we can then easily narrow to these small matters that we keep running up and down. As I conclude on this, politics should help us serve our common goods. Politics should help us serve our common goods. And once violence replaces dialogue, then we are betraying our democracy. Kenya is a democratic state. Fellow Kenyans, let us agree and not betray our democracy. Let us embrace dialogue instead of violence. Thank you.
Reforms that need to happen as we close.
Reforms that we need, number one, we must shun political leaders from having functions in churches. You know, Magoba here was complaining of, you know, political, leaders being chased away in churches. It should start from, you know, leaders themselves. So before we start pointing fingers, it should go out to the leaders who are doing that, who are, you know, convening, you know, those gathering in churches. And that's why I said that it is not something that we should come here to point fingers. It's something that revolves around all of us. Number two, political power. The Tunataka Power message, as the ODM party leader puts it, Dr. Oburu Oginga, does not revolve around taking the political power, but ensuring that we strengthen the institutions. When the institutions are strengthened, we can be, you know, confident that some of these conversations we are having here can be addressed. Number two, let's have dialogue. It is only through dialogue, it is only through conversations, in room, in spaces where political power are being influenced. Those are the spaces where we can do what we can have some of these changes done, effected. As youths, I've always said, initially we used to have, when the Gen Z, started back in 2024 during the finance bill, protests, most of us were powerless, were partyless, were leaderless. Magoba here was saying that he is not affiliated to a leader. He specifically said that he has a leader that he trusts. That is
next time you put words into my mouth, you'll have to pay for it.
So now, Mike, as I finish, it is only through these political parties that you can push some of these conversations. But then when we just start, pointing fingers, running on the streets without a clear goal, or rather a clear policy line that we are pushing, then we will not have this power that my party leader keeps on, talking about.
Okay.
So those are my closing remarks.
Mike, something. I just remember something. I think the IBC needs to come out strongly against the expenses, the political party expenses, because what we are seeing in Olkalau by-election is really going to set a pace in the general election, and that is going to disadvantage a number of aspirants, and again, it's also going to encourage leaders who will be elected to steal and recover their resources.
Okay.
So I think IBC needs to be strict, because what is happening in Olkalau is not now by election.
That is a conversation for another day, and we shall make time to talk about that. But I thank you, gentlemen, for making time. That was the time we had for this conversation. Thank you so much, George Gishuki, who is a politician, governance expert, Wakili Jacob Odhiambo, lawyer and political strategist, Emmanuel Magoba, political scientist, and Agogo Mkari from the ODM Youth League. Thank you for tuning into this conversation. This